When normally thinking of Gaves, or Gave children as they are also known, one normally remembers the poor children born with horrific mutations, whose parents knew that they would be put down like rabid dogs should their existence ever become known. Gaves are by all means beastmen, born from human parents and adopted by the beastmen, who see them as a gift from the very gods they follow. On occasion, a Gave will rise above the ranks of their adopted herds, some achieving great things as they join their brethren in laying the world to waste. And there is one whose name is revered by his kin, who they believe was the first of their kind, and who the gods return to the world each time he is struck down to continue his work. He is known by many names in many tongues: Caanfir, the Corruptor, Gordum, the Shadowgave, or simply Morghur. His origins are surrounded in legends. Some believe that Morghur was created by the dark gods long ago, and was indeed the very first beastman to walk the world. Others believe he is not a beastman, but a simple physical representation of chaos made manifest to remind the living who truly holds the world. Morghur has been destroyed on many occasions. Each time he has been cut down, and each time many have seen this great evil destroyed, they fear that he will reappear once again. In truth, for such an evil creature can never truly be destroyed. When Morghur is defeated, his body would fade, but his evil spirit moved to another host. Morghur has been sighted throughout the many vast reaches of the world. Wherever he roams, the warping powers of chaos take hold, and the tainted powers never truly leave. His first birth is unknown, but many believe it was many, many years ago in the lands of Bretonnia, where a loving couple eagerly awaited the birth of their child. Such a day should be filled with nothing but joy. Fate, on the other hand, would have otherwise. The child's day of birth had arrived, but no simple child was born. A horrible mutated mass of flesh and horn ripped itself out of its mother, while she screamed in pain, and she herself mutated, warped by the very touch of her supposed child. Her husband, in a panic state, tried to save his beloved wife, even if it meant killing the thing that was supposed to be his son. But it was no use. As he touched the small warping child, so too did he change. It was here that Morghur took form. All that would come close to him and felt his touch would be twisted under his madness-inducing screams, where even the strongest of men found themselves twisted into horrendous forms, screaming like wild, dying animals. Even as a baby, if you could call Morghur that, he spread his corruption all throughout the reaches of Bretonnia, specifically through the forest of Arden. What little humanity that was in the baby was gone long before he had even left the womb. Entire towns would have their populations destroyed as this great evil transformed any who would get too close. It was only the Wood Elves who would truly know the horrors that Morghur was capable of. Where the avatar of Isha, Arielle, had sensed a great evil rising up, fearing that it would bring great harm to Athel Loren and perhaps the world as a whole, should it continue to grow. Many scouts were sent to find this evil, but few returned, as any who came in contact with this beast would find themselves slaughtered, or worse, twisted and shaped by the very powers which created it. With time they learnt about Morghur, how his very touch corrupts all living things, how the lands he walks upon turns black, and how he was amassing a grand army of bestial warriors. Such an evil could not continue to live, and Arielle knew that she would have to deal with this matter personally. Donning an ethereal form and searching through the lands the beast had been sighted, despite the risk to her own well-being. After many months of travels, seeing how corrupting this monster truly was, she finally came across it. Almost disappointed, as Morghur looked nothing as she had imagined. Expecting a wizard of great power to be behind the source of corruption, rather than a simple, crazed beastman who could barely mentally function, let alone pose a threat to Athel Loren. Even as she watched this pathetic creature move aimlessly around the herd it had created for itself, she could not allow this beast to live, and thus called down a cleansing fire to destroy the beastman. Morghur fell, and Arielle was content that the land he had tainted would heal eventually. And with that, she head back home to Athel Loren. This was, however, a mistake on Arielle's part, not realizing that such an evil can never truly be destroyed by simple means of flame. Morghur's body reshaped and reformed, almost as he had never taken any damage in the first place. On the contrary, if anything, the power used to strike him down only served to make Morghur curious as to the true power she held, and he wanted more. Despite the Forest of Arden being relatively close to Athel Loren, it would take over 200 years for Morghur to actually reach the domain of the Wood Elves. Perhaps it was due to his lack of proper intelligence, only acting on instinct while hunting for Arielle. But nonetheless, it acted in his favour, for during his travels, many beastmen warherds joined him, seeing Morghur's regenerative abilities to that akin of that of a demigod, and using his corrupted powers to shape the many humans who crossed his path into unthinking servants. Thousands upon thousands of beastmen and other mutants threw themselves into the forests of Athel Loren, causing havoc all across the mystical forest. Morghur's corruptive nature proved problematic, where parts of the ancient forest and its ancient defenders found themselves maddened as the Beast Lord brought the very essence of chaos into such a fragile world. Many lives were lost, and many more found themselves turning against their own allies as Athel Loren was forever changed in the event of the Shadowgave's invasion. Even worse so when Arielle struck the beast, spilling his blood onto the sacred ground. The beastmen were repelled on a number of occasions, and indeed Morghur was slain multiple times, but each time he fell, he would rise again, and launch yet another offensive as more beastmen gathered to his side. Arielle had faced this menace a number of times, and her fears began to grow, as she has already seen what this chaotic abomination of flesh was capable of, herself being weakened as she did battle with the Undying One. For more than 2,000 years, a secret war between the forces of Athel Loren and the beastmen of the world would be fought. One that, were it had played a little differently, would have drastically changed the course of events, and indeed seen the Chaos Gods rule the world much sooner than expected. Morghur knew no ally. All were merely an obstacle on his path to devouring Arielle. Each time he fell, he rose again. He moved his forces to various locations to weaken the elven host. In some occasions, throwing his forces at the local lands of Bretonnia in an effort to find another way to draw Arielle out of hiding. Bretonnia would have fallen were it not for the intervention of Orion, the avatar of Kurnos, who, while despite not having any love for the humans, knew that it was in their best interest that they be aided. Despite many attempts to fell the creature once and for all, Morghur would rise again and again. Arielle had hoped to trap the creature within the healing powers of the Oak of Ages, possibly desperate, seeing no other alternative, almost dooming the world herself were it not for the ancient Durfu, who knew that the creature was already damning the world roots as it was, and that he would only taint the Oak of Ages would he get too close. Each time the Shadowgave rose again, he rose even stronger than he had before. Arielle grew desperate as she rallied the combined forces of Athel Loren to unite and strike out against the corruptor together. Never had such a force of wood elves and treekin been rallied, joining arms to fight the threat of the end that loomed upon them. Time and time again they struck at the beast and his armies, but still the warherd seemed unending. The elves would have been truly destroyed were it not for the combined efforts of Arielle and Arielle, who blessed the Elf Lord's weapons with the purest sap of the Oak of Ages, where the sap, upon being flung onto Morghur's body, burnt him with a pure white light stronger than the sun itself. The Shadowgave dissolved into ash, and the day had been won. The beastmen broke and fled, as many of them were cut down by the armies of Athel Loren. The corruption would heal eventually with the help of the sap of the Oak of Ages. Many had died, been driven to madness, or simply mutated into a new, unredeemable form. But this was not the end of the Shadowgave. Such an evil cannot be destroyed forever, and soon enough he would walk upon the Warhammer world once again. And with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our lore video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.